Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. We're going to discuss a burning question: why is learning a language such a long process? And how watching films in their original language can actually help to improve your language skills. We'll also explain how to watch films effectively and demonstrate why original versions are way cooler than translated ones. But first, Tina, why do you think learning a language takes so long?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Learning language, it's always a journey, and whether it's your native tongue or a foreign language, it always takes time and consistent effort. Because even native speakers are constantly improving their language through reading, listening to complex materials, and engaging in different conversations. But when it comes to a second language, it's not just about mastering grammar. It's very important to understand. You also have to dive deeper into the language to understand it like in its full context.
Yeah, and like one of the most common questions I get from my students as a teacher, and even from my friends, like how long will it take to speak English perfectly? And my usual response is to turn this question back to them and ask, do you speak your mother tongue perfectly? Like, I mean, even if we speak our native language, there's still always a way to advance. For example, I'm constantly working on my Russian by reading, learning new subjects, engaging more with more educated people. I even meet people in Russia who are Russians but who cannot speak proper Russian. So why should we expect English to be different?
Yeah, exactly. Learning a language is a lot like training at the gym. When you first start working out, you don't expect like you lift 200 kilograms on the first day, right? And you wouldn't be surprised if you like can't run like 100 kilometers without proper training.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I'm going through. um, what we also have to remember is that some people might never be able to lift 200 kg or run 100K, right? So, but if you keep training, eventually you will be able to handle more than you could expect in the beginning. The same applies to language learning, including another sad fact. If you take long breaks, your progress can decrease and you will be rolled back. Just like in sports, it's the same in language learning, but it's completely normal.
Yeah, but when it comes to learning languages, a lot of students expect like quick and effortless results. I mean, just look at all these apps in internet, in public places, and even in books. Sometimes you can see things like saying like learn language in 12 days, but this is impossible. For 12 days, you probably will be able to understand the logic of language, but you won't be able to speak fluently. Mastery always takes time. Do you agree?
Yes, I sorry, I hate this this quick ways. They never work. Maybe they might work if you live in an English speaking environment and dive in like for about 6 months at least, but not 12 days. That's all lies. Our brain is it is a muscle, right? And we need to train it regularly and patiently. Language learning is a lifelong adventure with no limit. It might sound a bit discouraging, but I suggest to change the perspective and look at it from another point of view and try to find ways to make this journey fun and pleasant. For instance, make English a part of your life by watching films in English.
So, you know what idea came to my mind? English is an international language, and it is a something that all people should speak it in order to have some common language to communicate with each other. And ideally, everyone should be able to speak English, which is why it has become the international language, right? And it's fascinating how English can vary so much depending on who is speaking it. Different accents, regional phrases, slang, and even cultural influences can shape the way people communicate. And this is what brings together a large number of nationalities.
Yeah, that's what we partly observed when we watched a stunning Salma Hayek interview on our previous podcast. I think it is important to listen carefully to how people from different backgrounds speak. And actually, that explains the choice for today, The House of Gucci, and how accents in that movie and language reflect characters' social status and their personalities.
Yeah, House of Gucci tells us the true story of rise and fall of the Gucci fashion empire, focusing on the relationship between Patrizia Raggiani and Maurizio Gucci, her husband. Even though the film was shot in English, you probably remember that all the characters there speak with crafted Italian accents. It was done on purpose to reflect their cultural backgrounds.
Yeah, I remember Lady Gaga's Italian accent, amazing.
Don't be such a cretin.
Don't call me a cretin, sweetie.
That's not what I said. I asked you not to be one. This is serious. And you're laughing it off.
I noticed that each character's accent is so telling, and it reflects their psychological portrait and their background. For those who haven't seen the film, let's briefly introduce the characters, and maybe it will spark your interest to watch. Feel free to let us know in the comments below if you watched the film after this podcast.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the characters. So the main character there is Patrizia Raggiani, played by Lady Gaga, and it's Lady Gaga total transformation because she looks absolutely different, not like in real life. Patrizia Raggiani, her character, so comes from like a middle class background. She's from the middle class family, and she's not very educated. So she doesn't read books and she doesn't understand art, but she's quite an ambitious person.
Hi, Zeus. That's okay.
What I was talking about. Patrizia Raggiani comes from a middle class background. Yeah, she doesn't read books and she's not very educated. She doesn't understand art, but she's a very ambitious person because her ambition and desire for a wealthy life are like very strong, and she knows how to present herself. And by the way, she's quite a skilled manipulator. And as soon as she meets her future husband Maurizio, she quickly identifies his family background and she begins like to manipulate him, their relationship.
I'm Patrizia.
Oh, Tizio. Maurizio Gucci. It's a pleasure to meet you, Tizio. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Aren't you going to ask me out?
You want to go on a date with me?
That's my number. I'm very busy, but I'll make time for you.
So she carefully navigates the relationships in the film, knowing exactly how to play her cards with each person, and all this is reflected in her accent.
I find it very interesting that you have such a strong connection to that which is not yours. I'm looking out for our best interests. Is that a game?
I love this film. It's not only interesting but also a beautiful film to watch, and it's incredible how the accent seasons the narrative. Patricia wouldn't be so natural and authentic without her accent. And that is the accent which makes her character so real and helps to add volume and emotions, show her true nature and consuming desire to break through and become a part of high society.
We had the most amazing time. I begged Marita to take me there for my 25th birthday, and of course, he obliged. As soon as we landed, we went to the Jules Verne restaurant in the Eiffel Tower. It's at the top.
At least it's my name on the mug. It's not yours.
Our name, sweetie, on junk.
By the way, I heard that Lady Gaga spent more than a year and a half preparing for her role as Patricia and practicing her accent.
Yeah, I heard the same. So this sounds quite impressive. And yeah, on the other hand, Maurizio Gucci, he has a more neutral accent with cultured and educated tone, and it shows his aristocratic background. His speech is calm and formal and reinforcing his high class upbringing.
I'm only 50% of Gucci. I'm here representing my own interests. I want someone to bring Gucci to the forefront of today's fashion. When you make me sneak around my own family, when you set father and son against each other and me against Paolo, when you second guess a person like a Domenico de Soleil, the only person my father trusted, these things have an effect on the environment I operate in, on me. Actions have consequences.
And you know what? I've just remembered that I saw this movie in English when it was first released. And recently, like a couple of weeks ago, I saw it in Russian. I came across a reel on Instagram or somewhere, and it was weird because it felt absolutely different.
There is no Italian accent in the Russian translation, I suppose.
Nope, there is no Italian accent, and the Russian version has an excellent voice acting, that's true, and good translation, but it's just not the same. Yeah, I need to clarify here, this is not about work of translators. Actually, in general, I'm pretty happy with how films are translated from English into my language. And the translators are doing a really great job. I think they're really professional, skilled, and creative in what they do. But it's necessary to understand because film's translation is this is the closest version of what the author wanted to say, but it will never be like 100% accurate.
Well, I like my cousin too. He's quiet, like a little moose, a tiny little moose. He doesn't scream like the others.
I hope in today's podcast we managed to explain and to show you why we recommend watching movies in their original language. Not to mention, it improves your listening skills and helps you to better understand foreign languages. But most importantly, it helps develop emotional intelligence and you get to hear different accents, you learn about various cultures. It allows you to see the world in its richness and diversity.
Yeah, absolutely. Language actually isn't just about words. It's about how those words are delivered. And for those of you who can't feel quite confident watching films in English, there is an alternative. You can start with films you know very well, so it's easier to understand the plot and characters. And once you get used to the language, fluency, and accents, you can move to the next level, watching all English films in English without subtitles.
Yeah, well said. I hope this podcast was useful. And I also have an idea what film to discuss next if we see the interest in the topic. Thanks for listening. We hope you found our discussion learning and interesting. Remember to keep watching films in English, integrate English in your routine, and good luck. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.